All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the 42nd episode of the SparkCast. And joining me this week is Brian from Team Dakota.
Hey guys.
So, Brian, is there anything new happening today that we should know about?
The usual stuff. More stuff with Conquer.
Yeah, eventually we'll be moving on to other topics, but Conquer is the big thing for today. You released a trailer of sorts for the UGC that would be ready upon release.
Yes, we did. You were actually one of the
Me?
15
No.
total of 15 people that we worked with to give out Conquer stuff, and really, so there are a few things that we wanted to do. We wanted to see what the community made with Conquer before even Conquer's released to get an idea of it. So we found a few people, Conquer fans and community members, and gave stuff to them, and then people like you, and then they were having a lot of fun with it, and they went on to make pretty awesome games, and they're all pretty much, except for maybe one, will be ready for tomorrow. The only one is Spawn 9 is his Conquer Remastered, which is like so good looking. He's working on polishing that, finishing that up, so he's has a release date of not too distant future. But yeah, we basically just put Conquer in the hands of community members, and it's kind of exciting that like day one start is just the start of what the community does with him. So we're gonna have so tomorrow it should be 9 of the 10 levels will be up tomorrow morning.
And the
Um,
levels are a whack-a-mole game made by Nini.
mm-hmm.
Here, let me just pull it
Conquer's
up.
Whack Off.
Yep, Conker's Whack Off. Let's go through the list. There's Multiplayer Arena, which looks surprisingly familiar for some reason.
Yeah, I know.
Made by some people named Invisible Doogie and ZZ Targ. Who are those guys?
Ah, yeah, they are old community members that we don't like anymore, apparently.
They were absorbed by Team Dakota for some reason.
Yeah.
And Mascot actually made a game, so that's something.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That was it looks pretty impressive. They all look really impressive though.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have seen some Plants vs. Zombies homages, however you want to say it, in Spark before, but I think that's the best looking one we've seen so far.
Yeah,
And
I'm pretty excited for that one.
it's
I mean, I'm,
also,
I'm really excited for all of them. Like they're all looking so good.
I like how you guys denoted in the little blog that in the somewhat familiar Please Don't Sue Us homage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not too similar, but it's somewhat similar. Yeah.
So that's one of those words I never actually say, but I've read it a million times. Homage? Homage?
Uh, it's homage.
Homage. So I was saying it right in my head, and then I was like, wait, there's an H there. Anyway, moving along. The next one is uh, the Rebastard, which you had to censor in the blog post.
Well, okay. The only reason why, well, it was censored on our blog post on projectspark.com because that it's just all words are automatically censored on there. So
Yeah,
it won't be censored in game though. But like yeah, it's I was trying to play around with it so it wouldn't get censored. And every way I was doing it, our blog knows the bad words, so yeah. That'll be a really fun one though. That was actually for those of you who haven't played RT, it's a phenomenal community creation made in Project Spark, made by Spawn 9, and you need to get to the good ending of that. And then you will be so much more excited for his next creation, the Conquer Remastered.
so that's actually one that's interesting to me because well, most of us in the community had been working together and talking to each other as the progress of our levels went on. He was somebody who we didn't have a lot of contact with, so we don't actually know what he made yet. You do.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been in contact directly with him, and it's been really awesome talking with him. He's such a talented creator. His I mean, just look at his game jam entry, A Turn Deus. He's such a talented creator, and the demo he just put together for me was spectacular. And it was only like a minute, and I was blown away by that minute. I was like, I need to play the full thing. Oh my God. Um, yeah, he has a great, well, you saw, like he has, not only does he bring in that alien reference that was famous for Conquer, but then he takes it a step further by making fun of alien isolation. It's like genius, so genius.
Wait, I didn't know about that alien isolation part.
Yeah, the second part where you're walking down the hallway, first person with the little monitor on your side, that's alien isolation.
Oh, oh, gotcha. The little,
Yeah,
yeah, gotcha.
the newest alien game.
Yeah, yeah. I just didn't catch that reference. Like I had watched people play Alien Isolation, but I didn't actually catch it when I was playing RT. Um,
Oh no, well RT was not. Well, RT wasn't based on alien isolation. RT was based on PT. But yeah, this was that like scene of like going down the hallway is like totally ripping off alien isolation. Like that's the mark of someone who gets conquerors. Like they're able to like make awesome, like hilarious homages while having fun. So that's what I felt like.
Speaking of homages, Bad Fur Day by Matt Lucas.
Yeah, Matt Lucas on our team. Yeah, we're polishing it up. We're actually probably going to publish that under. It's probably going to be by Team Dakota because his gamer tag actually is like an internal gamer tag. So I don't think we can share it under that. So we're probably going to share it under the Team Dakota gamer tag tomorrow. But that's we've been polishing that up, just getting it kind of ready so that it's easier for people to remix. And really excited when people do start remixing that.
The level that myself and Bob Schmacky have been working on is Conqueror's Defense, and then
With an average recon.
I was gonna say towards the end, like within very short notice, like within the last week, uh, I got to the point where I was like, balancing these games is hard. I need help, and we were already using an average recon's UI for the level because he already made a really good UI for tower defense games, and Bob had already implemented it. So we brought him on board to help with balancing, and that's what he's been doing for the past 2 days or so.
Yeah, that's awesome because balancing is the key to a good tower defense game. And
Other,
an average
yeah,
recon is a phenomenal creator, so it's like it's really awesome that he's part of this too.
yeah, and he's done a ton of work over the past 2 days, so I have no problem with giving him any credit for the first author on the paper. Oh,
Yeah.
so that's a fun thing. Real life stuff. I do cancer research, and on scientific papers, the first author is the person, technically the person who did the most work, or the person who wrote up the article, and then the last person is the senior author who is in charge
Oh,
of overseeing the whole thing.
I just put them alphabetically. That's what I do.
Oh, well, that works too, because in this case, well, the fun thing is Bob Schmacky did weeks of work on this, and then the towers alone, we made those a long time ago, but we never actually made a tower defense game using them. And he spent weeks just animating them. So that's why they look so nice.
They do look really nice. Like it's actually it's so natural. I didn't even think about it when I was playing. Like it just felt so much like a tower defense game. But then when I started looking back there and realizing all those animate like the subtle animations, it really goes step above and beyond for that. So it's like the subtle polish stuff that only kind of the Project Spark pros really get how much work it went into that. But it's all things that lead to a very polished feeling game. So yeah, I mean he did some great work there.
We were actually, like, as I got all the sci fi packs, each of them, I went and made towers out of them as I went. So,
Nice.
so you can actually see some of the older towers, like the missile tower. That was made from like the very first sci-fi pack.
Okay.
And then some of the newer ones he hasn't yet animated because it takes time. And we were also trying to make the light post from the what was it, the recon mission, or was that, I forget which one it was, but the sci-fi light post we were going to use that as
Hmm.
a charge tower and have the color of the rod itself change, but we couldn't actually isolate the color of the rod to change that color specifically without changing the entire color of the lamppost.
Ah, right.
So that's why there is no charge tower in the game, but
Okay.
it was all coded up to exist. Um, and I think there's a few more. Let's see. Eric in the Bakery. He made remixed his Goblin Pool Party to have Conker's Ball Game.
Which that I was such a big fan of Goblin Pool Party because it was just a totally new mechanics. And then the thing he's added on top of it, where like you all have baseball bats and now you run around and hit each other. That it's kind of like
Every parent's dream. No.
it's kind of like you take. I mean, it's like what most established IP do. They like find a successful thing and then they add another like mechanic on top of that just makes it feel more natural. And that's kind of what it felt like with just like running around with the baseball bat. Like instead you were just running around knocking into people, and that was fun. And now that you have the baseball bat, it's like it's extra fun. It's super fun because now
Well,
you
the
like
first game you
your
actually
strategy.
shot fireballs at people to stun them.
That's right, to stun them. And now with the baseball bats, it's so much more fun, especially when like you're just rolling around and then all these teddies swarm you with baseball bats and start hitting you. It's great stuff.
You heard it here first, kids. Hitting you with
Yeah.
baseball bats is fun. All right.
Yeah.
Um, and Wirt made something, Conqueror's Other Day, which
Okay. So
he does cinematics really well, and that's evident in the video.
all right, this is like anyone who's a big Conquer fan, like me. This is like the big geek out moment because Conquer's Bad Fur Day had a planned and then canned sequel called Conquer's Other Bad Day, and it was meant to kind of follow him like after the fact. He'd been kind of I think he was thrown in jail, and you start kind of as Conqueror, like literally with a ball and chain, dragging it around. And so he took a lot of the proposed ideas that are public out there about Conqueror's Other Bad Day, and added his own ideas on top of that, and so made this nice tribute game that's it's really funny. I was playing through it. I'm really impressed. Like I was there were a lot of literal laugh out loud moments while playing through that. So and I only played like half of it. So I'm really excited to play the full thing tomorrow.
Like, you have to wait, but yeah. You already have it. You can play it now. Well, not
Well,
literally
I
now.
want to. He like specifically told me like here are the parts that are functional. Here's the parts I'm working on. So I didn't want to play some of the sections until I see the final thing, so I get to like really experience it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And there are two more left, and I think
Hmm.
we'll be saving the last one for last.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? The last one for last. Anyway, Conquer's Squirrel on Squirrel Adventure with Araceli Namal, Charlotte, and Project Sparker.
Yeah, three like super heavy hitter creators. And I only showed like really in the video. We only showed kind of a snippet, but it feels like so epic actually when you start it and you're like Conquer and you're like shooting all these squirrels and all these things come in and like the title screen's awesome and like the intro is awesome and it's they like only kind of had the first maybe like 2 minutes of the on rails done, but it was feeling really solid. So that's another great one I'm looking forward to playing more of.
I mean, that's a pretty dream team right there, isn't it? You got Ari
Really, yeah.
for the parts, and he does some really nice visuals.
Hmm.
Charlotte and Project are both amazing coders, so
Yeah, I know. That's like an Avengers cast right there of creators.
I don't know. I think and Average Recon, Bob Schmack, and Paradox Moose are pretty good too. But
You two Avengers in there, but one of them is more like Ultron.
Bob, Bob's more Ultron.
Yeah, I'd say Bob.
Yeah, Bob. Alright.
And the last one
And the last one is, of course, the Great Mighty Pooh.
by Mr. X Bob, one of our phenomenal creators based in the UK. He made Little Big Planet, but Plan It, which was like a really fun game. And he's been working on the Great Mighty Pooh actually he's been like prototyping out the idea for a while. And then we got in with him and we're like, oh, let's give you the Conquer stuff. And that would be awesome if you work on that. So he has in his game, he has all of the audio, like word for word, all the audio from the Great Mighty Pooh boss fight. It's like a full. It's you play in a boss fight. Like it's literally the boss fight frame for frame. And it's really cool what he was able to make just with our own assets because we don't offer the Great Mighty Pooh isn't like a playable character,
Yeah.
but he took a bunch of our assets and created the Great Mighty Pooh out of it. He animated the mouth so it opens and closes and like actually is synced with the Great Mighty Pooh's voice. And it's a really phenomenal effort. The amount of care he put into like just animating that mouth moving up, flapping up and down is like really great.
And just to quickly um, point out, Thomas is saying me that I am the Aquaman. That's fine with me because he throws polar bears at people. But anyway, moving along.
Okay.
So there was a few questions that were throughout this segment that we didn't get to. One of which was, so far of those, what is your favorite of the UGC?
The one I'm making, obviously.
Yeah. No. Oh, that's you. Okay.
Yeah, Thomas and I, we after we got like all of the great feedback on our Ascension Conquer multiplayer game, Thomas and I looked at each other and realized, oh my God, we need to make this so good now. So we're gonna spend the rest of the night like finishing polishing everything for it. We actually since you helped us test it. Since then, we've really done a lot of great work in it. It's feeling a lot better, but we want to make it even better. It's going to be such a fun one because you like play as Conquer on the Ascension map with a Lancer. So,
Why not? Yeah.
yeah, but no, I don't know. My favorite,
Tower defense. Tower defense.
no, I actually will pick a favorite. I think it's so far it's got to be what I've been seeing with Conquer's Other Bad Day. That's just it's like I really actually got sucked into it, and um, I was so happy when I saw that, and I like jumped right into it immediately and started playing it, and I was getting more and more excited the more I played. It's Word Andrew put a lot of care into that world. It's the one I'm most looking forward to sitting down and playing.
So that brings up a point. A lot of the Conquer fans from Bad Fur Day and Live and Reloaded, etc. They've been saying they hope that Conquer feels right. Well, the thing is, as far as gameplay mechanics go, like movement speed, jump height, etc., you can customize all that trivially in Project Spark.
Yeah, well, there's it's kind of hard to explain if you're not like fully in the know about Project Spark. It's really hard to explain the fact that Project Spark's kind of just this blank canvas. Yes, we do make the assets for you, but it's more of a blank canvas for you to make the experiences. So that's kind of it can be a harder thing for people to understand. When they see Conquer, they see game, they just that's the assumption they make is this game like the Conquer game, and the creation pack is just generally it's more of an anomaly for people. So we thought by showing these like great community games, it would start putting it in context of the fact that it's not Conquer visiting Project Spark is not this. It's different than like a DLC character because it's more of like we have all these assets and then we just have this blank canvas for you to make your own stuff with, and it's something we hope to do with other IP. And
Warhammer.
I know you're huge onto that. So, yeah. So I mean, that's just in general. I've seen a lot. Like, I definitely have seen a lot of Conquer fans. Like, did they get it right? Did they get it right? And I really do hope that you think we got Conquer's Big Reunion right. But for community games, they can get it right. And I saw that by playing Word Andrew's game. Is the community can also get it right too, and that's really exciting.
So, did you have any involvement in the actual making of the Conquer game inside Project Spark? Not just your
Yes.
one level? So,
Yes, I was part of. I did actually help with developing Conquer's Big Reunion in
could you
some
talk about
capacity.
what your role was in this process?
All I can say is if you don't like the cutscenes, then I will be a sad person. Well, no, I did. I mean, I wasn't like the main cutscene guy. There's a lot of people working on cutscenes. I was just there to kind of help where the team where they needed. I've been making stuff in Project Spark for a long time. I know coding development, so wherever I could help the team, I was helping them with kind of like polishing certain things. I didn't have a specific kind of role.
Did you help things feel a little more Conquerized? Because I know you're a huge Conquer fan.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like that was it was not hard though, because most of us working on that were Conquer fans. Everybody who, like huge Conquer fans, like everybody who worked on that has fully played through all the Conquer games. Like that was, I mean, that was just like a requirement. Like if you work on this, you know Conquer front and back, and so like that wasn't actually too hard. There were more like tiny little things where like we would debate like would a Conquer game do this or do that, and would it make more sense to have this line or that line, and so it was actually much more nuanced, like because we all kind of got the same vibe. It was like just more nuanced feedback.
So before you had been telling us that Conquer was going to be rated something above E, and then the
Yeah.
trailer today showed that it was going to be rated T. Is that the final
Mhm.
rating? And what were you able to actually pack into a T rating?
Yeah, so we did finally get rating back from ESRB. So the interesting thing is like going like all the way back, we when we first started making the Conquer Big Reunion, we didn't really care about rating. We were just looking to make the best Conquer game. And so we're really kind of surprised and happy that we are, we have a T rating. I think it's just the fact that you are playing as more kind of, I guess, quote unquote cartoony characters, even though, that's serious, it's dark humor, it's like lots of potty humor. I guess it's more laxed. And the other fact is, and this is kind of a general misconception about Conquer himself, is everyone kind of calls him the foul-mouthed squirrel, but Conquer himself, he was actually like in the original games, he's not the character that curses. It's everyone around him who
Are you
curses.
sure?
I think he says, I think a total of two curse words the entire play experience of like Conquer's Bad Fur Day. Um, and
And one of
so
those is in relation to an actual donkey, if I remember correctly.
Yes, exactly. So that's one. And then there's like he says the B word at another point. And I think there might be a third one. I might be, but when we sat down and Chris Seaver like specifically told us like, yeah, so writing Conquer lines, don't use that curse word. Don't use that because that's not Conquer. That's the other characters around Conquer who would say those kind of words. And so like we Conquer's the main star of this. We have a few other characters in there, but not like the full cast of characters. So I guess that's probably what also helped with the T rating. But I mean, we were no bars held. We just put in all the funny Conqueror like stuff in there, and it's just I guess it's just ratings have probably gotten maybe more laxed over time. Because we were like surprised, even for instance everything shown in like we have every single video we put out, we have sign up sort of, you get like ESRB clearance on the stuff because you want to make sure that you're not putting out something that is age gated above what you're age gated at. Like if for instance you're making like an E-rated game and you have someone sticking a sword in someone else, then everyone who's watching that game trailer is like under the assumption they can watch it because it's E-rated. So with the community games, we those also got basically they're like yeah those would be in line with the T rating. So I just think like it made me really curious. Like what would Conquer today? Like what if like Conquer came out today? What would he be rated? That's like just an interesting question I have.
Well, I mean, if you had used the exact dialogue inside of Conquer and then try to get that through, what would the rating be, do you think? Would it still be T?
So I think I my just this is my personal thought. Is probably you probably have Conquer's Bad Fur Day would probably still get the M rating because there's not as much there's like there's more curse words, and maybe Live and Reloaded might get a T rating nowadays. I'm not sure though. It could get an M rating still. It's like but this goes into something way above my head.
The
It's
ratings
just
don't make a whole lot of sense to me, to be honest. But especially when it comes to movie ratings, because they're very inconsistent as far as what gets what in relation to who's doing what and when it's happening. That changes the
well,
perception of what's going on.
yeah, sure. I mean, ratings they like the ratings boards though are they actually are really great people. We've like we our work with ESRB and Peggy and all the others has been they've been it's been really great actually. Honestly, working with them and just like back and forth talking about certain things in the game. So we're happy with our rating. Also mainly because it actually does lead to in game. It's easier when certain stuff in a game are E10 because that's kind of like our base stuff is E10. There's much more strictness we'd have to have with certain things if we also had content in there that was M rated. Not to say we never will, but just to say like there's a lot more stuff that needs to be done. So that also kind of that was a nice little happy extra thing we got out of it because they believed like all the dirty stuff we put in there was teed and we didn't have to put like all this extra enforcement in there.
But just as a PSA, everyone should know that Brian will get along with anybody anyway, so it doesn't matter how horrible the people are. In reality, he would still get along with them and think it was a great experience. It's true, right? The answer is
I
yes.
kind of like everybody.
Yeah. So one of the earlier questions was by Endless. He asked, why Conquer? But I think we've already answered that a lot, which was it was handed down from above. Phil Spencer said this would be a great idea, right? And then the next question was, why now? Which I don't think we've actually addressed. Why is it so important to do Conquer right now?
Why now?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a question of like now as opposed to like
Well, tomorrow, but
like why 2015 as opposed to like 2016 or 2014. It is more of why is Mega Man in Super Smash Brothers now? And why wasn't he before? It was a great opportunity we had to do something totally different, kind of in a way almost unprecedented with another iconic character in our own property. And I mean, it's why now is just sort of that's how long it took us to get the planning done, to really put a lot of care into building everything, and to put it out. Um, and it actually kind of incidentally, it kind of matches up well with Rare just recently had their 30-year anniversary, and we didn't like realize how close our release date is to their actual anniversary. So that was a kind of cool bonus. But there was no there's no real I guess there's no real like answer to why does it have to be now? Why can't it be like next year? Like why this in Project Spark and you know not something else?
what time tomorrow
Yeah.
does it come out?
It comes out 9 a.m.
Pacific?
Pacific time.
Yeah. And there was another question I had before I saw that question. Um, oh, so uh, what's the likelihood of getting another Conquer level, like episode 2 in the next couple months, or what's the time frame on that?
Um, well, we haven't made any announcements. We already are well in planning stuff though. We haven't made any announcements. We will make announcements further down the road on just what we're doing next with Conquer and Project Spark. We're really, I mean, my focus has all been on just episode 1, while the team is focused on kind of the future of Conquer and Project Spark. So I don't have really
Well,
any
I know it's kind of like
estimated
me,
figure.
like asking a woman who's in labor. So when do you plan to have your next child, right? Because you guys are just about to release the first content pack.
Yeah, I guess so. But then that would mean that it would take another 9 months to get one. Um,
Well, I said like, not exactly like. All right, and there's no pain involved either. At least I hope not. Yeah.
oh no, there's no pain. It was actually really fun for our team, honestly. But yeah, we really are focused on episode 1 now. All this future stuff we're planning for Conquer, we will announce that when we kind of are ready to.
And one of the other questions was, what was your most favorite part of creating the content in Project Spark for Conquer?
Honestly, it was just amazing the fact that I got to work on it. Just period. Like the fact that I got to work on him. I think for most of our team that most of the team that built Big Reunion, we pretty much brought in almost all, actually not almost all of Team Dakota at some point somehow touched Conquer. That sounds kind of dirty.
Well, it's appropriate then.
But yes, and for all of us, it was just the most exciting part was the fact that we did have this trust put in us to make, um, to make a great Conquer experience. And people, Microsoft, Rare, Chris Ever, others believed in us to do that. And that was the most exciting thing. It's just like the fact that we get to make this and we're being supported to make this, and people are liking what we are making. That was so like, there's not one specific thing throughout the process. It's just like it was something that I would step back and in awe look at the fact that we were all helping to code and design and build a Conquer game in Project Spark. That itself is really cool.
So, for those who are familiar with the way that the patches or updates used to be labeled was with animal names.
Hmm.
So there was hippo, there was goat,
Yeah.
and then iguana was released. So I actually counted them up. So now we're on the letter S for TU10, which just came
Hmm.
out. Is there any animal that comes to mind for what S should stand for?
I can't think of an animal really that's related to Conquer that begins with an S.
Yeah.
Sorry,
All right, well
can't
there
help
we
you
go.
there.
I'm just sad that I didn't think about this before we got to the M one for moose, but
Oh, we didn't tell you. We wanted to sweep that under the rug.
yeah, that sounds about right. And so one of the other things is cost. So again,
Yes.
break down the price structure for the two packages that are involved in Conquer.
Yeah, we also have, so we put out a kind of FAQs round two, that is much more detail about everything. Especially one really good question I was getting from people is the fact that we did up until recently only give what the price is in USD in dollars. So in this, go to our news section, go to project.spark.com, go to our news section, you'll see an FAQs part two, and you'll see the price breakdown for Conquer in all major regions.
So
Um,
that's U.S. dollars, the
Euro,
euros, and pounds.
UK, Poland, Hungary, Denmark, Russia, others like that.
So you're actually selling this in rubles,
Yes.
pesos,
Um, I
yen.
think yes. Yen. I don't think I haven't got that information yet. It
This is
will be
all.
available for yen, but
This is all a
I
bunch of
haven't.
stupid questions anyway that didn't really matter. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it's all there. But so the general breakdown is you'll have kind of two different ways. So two different ways to buy both packs, and two different pack types you can buy. So you can buy it either through just the Xbox Marketplace, and you pay money through the Xbox Marketplace. You go into Project Spark and it's unlocked for you, or you go into the Project Spark Marketplace and purchase it there, and then you don't have to. You're like already right in Project Spark. So those would be the two ways to buy it. The two different pack types you can buy is basically the easiest way to say it is you have the $5 version that is just Conker's Big Reunion. Then you have the $10 version that's Conker's Big Reunion and all the creation assets on top of that. And there's some extra bonuses added onto that $10, what we're calling the Conker Mega Bundle. So it's basically, $5 just to play the episodic experience, or $10 if you want to play the episodic experience and create your own games as well.
And then you
Um,
get Champions Quest thrown in there as well to use
yeah,
the Conquer
exactly.
Champion, right?
Exactly.
So there's some people in chat that are saying other characters they would like from either Rare, Conquer, or etc. to be put into Project Spark. Uh, Anything as far as what characters we could expect for the future releases of the episodes of Conquer?
Oh yeah, we already have that planned actually. So I can't even tease you though what characters we're working on, but you can definitely expect with each of the new Conquer packs that we get to that we'll be adding additional characters into there because I mean there's so many beloved Conquer characters. So yeah, like I mean off the top of my head, there's like a lot of people have been asking for Barry, the Great Mighty Pooh, Greg. Um, Panther King, Professor Von Cripplespack, um, the cheese, the block, the rat, the pitchfork. And the list goes on.
Here's something I agree with Maple Platoon on. Battletoads. That'd be awesome to see them battle the void.
Ha, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Though you'd have to make the speeder bike level and totally impossible to beat to stay true to the original franchise. Do you remember that level 3? No one could actually get past that? No?
No,
Oh, so
yeah.
yeah, the first level was just this really easy beat 'em up, and then the second one was a pretty easy descending into a cave, and then the third level was this pattern remembering Twitch action type level, and as kids we could never get past it like once in 20 times, and then as soon as we got to the next level after that we'd all die and then have to start over again. But yeah, so that's how Battletoads goes.
Yeah, I actually never played Battletoads as a kid. I had friends who did, and they were like, "This sucks. It's way too hard." And so
Yeah.
as a kid, I just listened to my friends and didn't play it.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but you have to meet up people with pipes, so that was great.
Hmm.
Um, but so other like dead. So is a when you talk about importing franchise into Project Spark, is it important that it's a dead franchise or does it matter?
No. Oh, no, 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 not at all. I mean, Conquer is, and that's another thing that, like, just general misconception is the fact that, like, we're bringing Conquer because he's a dead franchise. Whatever happens with Conquer outside of Project Spark is, I don't know what's the future of that. So, like, we could, I mean, just like theoretically, we could, the sky's the limit. We could bring in, like, Master Chief, we could bring in Years of War, we could bring in, like, Forza, we could bring in,
Warhammer.
right, Warhammer, Batman,
Yay!
whatever. Yeah, so the sky's really the
Confirmed.
limit of what to bring in. It's not, we don't look at sort of when we evaluate, we don't specifically look at, well, this nothing's really happened with this character for a while. Let's do something with them. We just look at what would have the most interesting fit with Project Spark, and Conqueror was that for us. Like he's, it sounds so different than what Project Spark is, but the more you look at it, the more they just feel like they fit together like peanut butter and apples.
Really?
Yeah, have you ever tried peanut butter and apples? It's awesome.
I don't like either of those things.
What? Oh man.
Um, so it wouldn't matter if like Earthworm Jim were brought up. You wouldn't think, oh, it's dead, so we have an easier path to getting him to getting acceptance to bring him in.
Um, I mean, there's hundreds probably of factors that go into evaluating the next IP. Um, so that's like whether something is dead or not. I don't think really is a factor. It would probably be like if you go for something you'd have to license, then there's licensing factors. And so like something that might be a character that's not used more often probably has less licensing than something that's like used often. Um, so like maybe from that perspective, I could see your point, but that really I don't think that's not actually a kind of factor we're looking at with IP.
And if a game were to have something other than a 3D action adventure background, would that be a dissuasion? Because you guys wouldn't
Mm-mm.
be able to
No,
build that in Project Spark?
and speaking of, I'm just going to say in all of our testing, putting Conquer in a 2D side scroller is way fun. His movements in 2D are really awesome. So like yeah, if there's like a famous 2D character, we wouldn't be opposed to bring them into and seeing them in the 3D world also.
I think you need to get Yaz involved and bring in the Final Fantasy Tactics type gameplay. Just, I want to see Team Dakota build something that's complex and not just an action adventure 3D thing. So get to
Mm.
making the strategy game so I can play them and I can actually say I enjoy what you made, Team Dakota. You know,
Yeah.
that'd be nice. Or hell, a tactical RPG. I'll take that. Well, then again, everything has RPG elements in it these days. So did Conquer get RPGified in this? As is like have his own strength elements and stuff like that, his own statistics that he levels up, etc. Is that in this
In
big reunion?
No, that's the Conquer Champion.
Oh
Big
yeah.
Reunion is a Conquer game, but the Conquer Champion does have like our other champions where you can play in Crossroads and Champions Quest. He has levels and he gets more powers and stuff as he levels up. So yeah, we do have that in Champions Quest.
I want to clarify. I'm not just mean. I'm also honest. Yeah.
Subjectively honest. That's what I'll say.
Sure, I speak my mind sometimes. So
Hmm.
there's a whole lot of chat tonight. I'm just trying to keep up with it and make sure I don't miss any questions. So if you guys see any questions, or if Brian, if you see any questions, feel free to jump in and insert them.
Yeah,
And
sure.
if you guys don't see me read your question, feel free to ask it again. So what is the? So you mentioned the Conquer Champion. Like, why did you guys make a Conquer Champion at all?
Because it was boatloads of fun, and I think you will have boatloads of fun with it too. And I mean, he's such a great character to play as. We had to make a champion version of him just so you could play. And I mean, we knew early on that the champion version of him had to be separate from the actual playable experience version of him too, because that's a champion version of him. No matter like how cool and fun you make him, it's just for the beat of like actually getting to my personal nostalgia and the team's nostalgia, and also feeling like the mechanics, you just that wouldn't quite work. But the champion itself is so fun, and our champion team had such a great time making it that like we knew early on we wanted to make a champion version as well.
Does Conquer get new gear as he levels up as a champion, like the traditional Spark champions?
Yes, he'll get new stuff. He'll get really awesome stuff. So
Have you
we'll
shown
never
that
see
off?
Conqueror and Crossroads. You will see Conqueror and Crossroads. Conqueror is a champion, so you can play as Conqueror and Crossroads. That'll definitely shake up your Crossroads experience for those of you who play that all the time.
So your kids will love it until you tell them that they can't play it because they're not teens.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so there is one question. It's kind of related to what we're talking about right now, so I'll throw it in there. Um, can champions hear the creation well?
Hmm.
We really need to get Henry or someone in here to answer like one question a week that comes up as related to lore.
Yeah. Hmm. I don't know. Um,
That'd be great to have Henry drive by as he gets one question and then runs away.
yeah.
So,
Um,
so the answer is you don't know.
yeah, I don't know. That's a tricky question. I don't think that's been explored yet in our lore. So far, the creation well has been separate from champions. Like creation well is there with Sparks, so Spark can obviously hear the creation well, but champion well or the creation well is far away from where the champions actually are.
So Endless wants to know. He says art style, but I think he means theme. Because
Mhm.
you are you guys working on additional themes? Like so far, you have fantasy and sci-fi. Is there anything else down the pipeline that we should know about?
I can't really talk about that. I mean, all I can say is we're working on a lot of future stuff. And stuff that people will be really excited about. But I can't really talk about like what we might tackle, whether it's a new art style or new feature or what have you.
Grios mentions that we haven't heard from Henry in a while. Is he still alive?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was actually having a lot of fun. He was the one who gave me the tip about making a 2D Conquer game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Um, so he's how much was he involved in the making of the Conquer game?
He was our oversight guy on all that. So he was the guy who, I mean, he worked a lot with the team on coming up with scripting the whole thing, as well as working like directly with Rare on a lot of stuff and working directly with Chris Seaver on a lot of stuff too. So I mean, his voice is very much in, well, his I should say not voice because it's Chris Seaver's voice, but his hands are very much in Conquer's Big Green.
Will Conquer joke around with existing characters in Project Bark, or is it segregated? Does he make any jokes
I
about breaking the third wall, or making fun of Sparks, or saying the squirrels are stupid and don't have enough sockets, or
I'm pretty sure you can expect a lot of fourth wall breaks with Conquer in general.
okay then. There was another question. I let it scroll off the screen. Oh, so when can we expect more information for the next non-Conquer stuff to come in of Project Spark?
Um, Probably soon. Our team needs to like get sleep.
Why? You've been going
Um,
without sleep for the past couple of weeks. You seem
yeah.
fine.
So, Yeah, but we will. I mean, we have a lot of really cool stuff planned, and we've been only talking Conquer.
Yeah.
And like I actually really I don't know, I guess because I'm just such a Conquer fan, I've been loving it. But probably some of our community members who are like about Conquer really want to know what's happening next. So for those of you who are kind of want to see what's happening next in Project Spark, you'll definitely start hearing more of that. He's not like he's not sort of like the last big thing we have.
So that reminds me, you guys have been talking about you're making bigger content packs. Is that why we haven't seen any like sizable ones? We've seen like the Lucky Charms one. We've seen the uh, emotes one. So a bunch of like fairly small packs.
Hmm.
Is that why we haven't seen like any big packs or large medium packs
Yeah,
lately?
I mean, those were actually honestly because Conquer is such a huge pack that we were working a lot on all the Conquer stuff. And we do have other really big packs. That's not to say though that we won't have smaller packs too, because I think like smaller packs can actually be really nice, like especially if they hit on exactly what you're looking for. It's a lower price point, and it's like a more direct wish fulfillment. Like that's what we try and hit on with every one of our packs. That it needs to hit on a certain sort of wish fulfillment. So if it's a bigger pack, it's on lots of wish fulfillments. What if you only have like this one wish and you're going to get all this other stuff on top of that? So sometimes when in a smaller pack, like I think the Royal Court one was just a king and queen and like a scepter, and I think that there's may have been like a few other tiny things. But so it's like such a direct wish fulfillment. Do you need a king and a queen in your game? Then get this. Don't need a king and your queen in your game? Okay, don't worry about this.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We haven't seen many characters lately. Is there a reason behind that? Like I think the owl and the I guess some clothing was the last thing, but like and then a lot of little models like the drones.
I mean, I think your answer is in the fact that the Conquer pack has 5 characters, the most characters we've ever had in any of our packs.
That's true. And the bouncy rig is a new rig.
Yep, completely new rig. Conquer's rig is a completely new rig. Birdie's rig is a slightly new rig. It's like actually his rig when it's actually really cool. His rig, what you can use it for. So it's like half of his actions are kind of retargeted human actions, and half of them are like totally new stuff. Um, and then the teddies actually do have slightly different. They use a slightly modified version of our human rig that like we use for like the Codian and the zombies and everything like that.
And so with that, I was gonna ask, is there a way to like better use the bouncy rig or better use any of these existing rigs as far as like the drone was a bit more had a bit floaty bits that didn't actually get sockets implemented in time,
Hmm.
and the um, Codian was it, Golem has the falling bits falling apart animation that you can actually use attachments to enjoy. Is there anything similar like that with a bouncy rig or any other rigs that is unique?
Oh yeah. Well, we actually put out a blog post. I were you like tossing up a softball for me to hit with the talking about the blog post?
Yep.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure. It's like this sounds too much like, "Hey Brian, you put out a blog post," but I'm going to ask you a question where you plug your blog post.
That's exactly what I do here. I ask the questions made up in chat, and then I give you softballs, and then occasionally, very occasionally, I'll be a bastard and say some things that you don't like me to say.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a blog post out there that we put up this week. We put it up on Monday, and it's called "Hello, is it key you're looking for?" And it's all about the bouncy rig, this brand new rig that's come with the key character. The reason we want to do that is Conker's new rig is much more self-explanatory. It's basically his hand socket is the hand socket, and his tail socket as a tail socket, and so on and so forth. So when you're like attaching stuff to him, it makes a lot more sense. But the bouncy rig is different because they have no hands, they have no legs, but they have a lot of different bits that like bounce and move back and forth. So we wanted to kind of get through an anatomy lesson of how to use our socket system to make your own really interesting characters using the bouncy rig. And that bouncy rig is going to be, once you understand how to use it, and once you like really start playing with the sockets, it is by far the most versatile of all of our character rigs we have in Project Spark. I mean, it's something that literally every single prop that I've ever tested on it looks awesome when it's attached to it, and it's just like just that prop, and suddenly you get that prop, you put googly eyes on it, and suddenly it looks like a character. It's like that easy. You just like attach, like you attach a padlock to it, and you put two googly eyes on it. This is what Thomas did, and it looks like an awesome bouncy padlock character. Or you like take one of our rocks and you put two eyes on it, and it's a bouncy rock character. It's like so awesomely versatile that it will just create really fun new types of characters. So yeah, I really wanted to make sure that we put that out there so people really knew how to fully take advantage of that rig, because it is such an awesome new rig. And it's like, really, if you are a creator who likes to make your own custom characters, you're going to be in heaven with this thing of just like what you can do with it.
So there's a interesting question in chat. They want to know if you're prepared for DK Vine's
Ha!
conversation podcast. Hold your feet to the fire, all in caps. Uh,
Yeah. So tomorrow I'm going to be on the DK Vine podcast. It's really exciting because those guys are, they're huge Rare fans, huge Conquer fans, and they're going to grill me with all the questions because Conquer will be out in Project Spark at that point. Um, Everyone will see everything we've made with him. I expect I expect a lot of questions from them, and it's gonna be a really fun podcast. And I'm not sure when they're gonna put it out, but it's gonna be a really fun time. So definitely, we'll obviously tweet it out. Definitely keep an eye out for when that DK Vine podcast drops.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's always fun to have other people involved in Spark doing podcasts about it. I'm not the
Yeah,
only one. Yay! No, I'm kidding.
yeah, it's really, and like I'm just such a Rare fanboy also that it's just going to be a great podcast. I mean, one of my favorites of all time is Donkey Kong Country, and like that. Oh man, that game, I just that game I heart so much.
Yeah, I like the side scroller platformers and all the barrels and all that fun stuff. That was great.
Yeah, plus like I think I've gone into this like at least 5 times about how much it moved the tech of gaming
It
forward
really
in
did.
like years. Yeah, it's something people kind of overlook of how influential that game was into the entire gaming industry. But that's a whole other tangent. So I'm like really excited just to talk with other Rare fans, and they have a really cool, very supportive community too. I was first made aware of it when someone posted on our forums about this Conquer Pocket Tales remake game they're working on. And then I looked into it more, and they posted this on the DK Vine forums, and like everyone was kind of coming in and being like, "That's so cool, man! Here's like some other tips and like some other cool stuff," and like they just had this great conversation. So it's a really awesome community, and I'm really excited that I get to talk to this community.
So, question from chat: is there a new drunk animation in the game? Like, with Conker wobbling around in the trailer?
Oh yeah. Well, wait. We actually did show that, so I can talk about it. Yeah, yeah. All you need to do is equip Conqueror with a what we're calling the beverage bottle, basically the booze bottle. And he will now walk around all drunk and stumbly and such. And the cool thing is that will be added for all other characters, I believe, the next update. So
So we
title
can have
update will
drunk
have it.
Yetis,
Yeah. Oh my God. Wait till you see drunk Yetis.
drunk
Wait.
zombies.
Yeah, you're gonna get drunk everything's. Wait, oh god, wait until you see. They're all the drunk emotes for all of them are so good.
And a
I
drunk
was looking it up.
zombie? Sorry, drunk dragon?
We don't have a dragon in Project Spark yet, so. But wait, okay, you could take. Um, no, okay, you could. No, never mind.
No,
I was gonna
Chrome Wolf
say.
actually made a dragon like already out of a human rig, so he
That's
could.
true. Yeah, so you could. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. You could technically take that dragon made out of the human rig and make them drunk. Oh man, I can't wait for like those. The team is. I mean, it does take a lot of time to work on any kind of movement animations. That's what I've definitely seen by working on this. They spent a lot of time just adding this in, but it's going to be so great when that comes out.
So When are we getting dragons? Direct,
Um,
direct question. When are we getting them?
a lot of people have been asking about dragons.
Are they gonna be like awesome looking dragons? Or gonna be silly, whimsical dragons? Or what are they gonna be?
So yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been asking about dragons. We've had a lot of questions about jungles stuff. We've had a lot of questions about spiders. We've had, I mean, the list goes on.
In Warhammer?
Yeah, Warhammer, Banjo-Kazooie, stuff like that. I mean, like there's so much content we want to get to in Project Spark. We have like a really we have a content map that goes a long ways away.
Can
So
we see it?
no, no. But
Tried.
so some of the stuff that the community's been asking for, your wish will be granted. And some of the stuff, maybe someday,
Like Warhammer.
maybe.
I'm just gonna end
You never know.
I'm gonna end every single sentence in this podcast with
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Warhammer until you get it to me.
the fun thing about working on something that's like an evolving service rather than just like a one-time thing, like we continue to add on to it, is there's never when people ask, "Will Project Spark have this?" There's never a no. Like there's never a no answer to that. There's never been a situation where we definitively know nope to that because for all we know, yeah, that could happen. So why not? You could. I don't foresee Warhammer ever coming to Project Spark personally, but you never know.
What's
It
wrong with
could.
you? Well, at least I'm not asking for like Leisure Suit Larry or something.
Yeah.
Though that actually more is more likely now that I'm talking about Conquer. Um, yeah, wow, there's a lot of questions. And yes, a lot of people are supporting Warhammer and Games Workshop. There you go. It's unanimous. Everyone wants Warhammer. Oh, serpent like an Asian dragon. That'd be cool too.
Hmm. Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh yeah, it's a good contrast. Either something like Spyro or something like Skyrim, right? As far as what kind of
Yeah.
dragon we're gonna get. As in, I know one I'll be happy with. The other one, no. I don't want a Barney either. I can imagine you guys making importing Barney into Spark and be like, here's your dragon, guys.
That
No.
honestly, that would be so funny. That would be so funny.
I know BJ would be laughing hysterically as he'd probably do the voice for him.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that'd be so fun. We have always thought like, what if we just did a pack that trolls the community? But then we put it out by putting out the troll, so then we don't have a trolling pack
Yeah.
anytime soon.
It'd be cool if you guys could do other versions of trolls as well. So we don't just have the male pattern baldness troll. We can also have like, uh,
The Arctic troll.
are you trying to say that the Yeti is the Arctic troll?
Maybe.
No. Interesting. A Halo Kitty pack, that'd be interesting as well. And by interesting, I
A
mean horrible.
Halo Kitty pack. That would be very interesting.
Oh, then you'll have something awful coming after you under copyright infringement.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't mess with those Photoshop Fridays or without getting the wrath. Oh, tour feedback. So the tour was implemented in TU9 correctly,
Yep.
and that's the new user experience. They will go through this tour and see everything that's involved in Project Spark. Have you been getting a lot of feedback as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, we've been getting lots of good feedback. While speaking about the tour, just like a PSA we're putting out there to everybody, we've been trying to blanket this as much as we can, is the first time you go into Project Spark, if you've never been in Project Spark, you're going to have to go through a first user tour. It's fun. It's actually, you play like lots of little fun games, and you have a narrator that explains everything to you as you're playing. And it's about a 45-minute experience, maybe. But that'll be really important for all the hardcore Conquer fans. You're going to have to go through that before you can access Conquer content. And we say that during the tour. We'll say, like, you get to the screen, and the narrator will say, you're going to go through here, and, after the tour, you'll get to Conquer. So we do make that warning, but we want to make sure everyone is very aware of that. If you haven't checked out Project Spark before, you will have to go through that before you jump into Conquer. But, saying that, we've gotten a lot of really good feedback, honestly, on the tour. We've been really impressed by how well it's been received so far. There have been very few actual complaints about it from people. They seem to think it's a great on-ramp for them to understand the breadth of Project Spark. We're seeing that once people go through it, they have a much better understanding of it. They are much less confused by stuff because Project Spark is a large beast. So I think we needed something like a tour. Before just getting to the menu screen, what we were seeing is just generally when someone gets to the menu screen, you have so many options to begin with, and you just don't know where to go because we haven't told you what each of the places is. So the new user tour has been really helpful with that, of explaining each of these places. So you go through them, you're having some fun, and then once you're done with it, then you have an idea of what it is, and you have an idea of where you want to go next.
So one of the questions from chat was, when will not new users be able to experience the tour? Because
Yeah,
there
we're
are
gonna
some
add.
credits and goals and stuff like that
Yes.
associated with
So
it.
yeah, there are goals and credits associated with it. So it was something that we decided um, that we were initially only going to put it out for users who were under or level 5 or under. But we are going to roll it out for every user. We're going to eventually put it in. So I think it'll be somewhere in the options menu. You'll have the option to at any point click on start the tour. And the challenges you only be able to get once. So a lot of people, a lot of our longstanding creators will probably only play through it once, but you will have the option to play through it multiple times if you ever wanted to. But so yeah, it will be something that we will be adding in a future update. I can't tell you which update, but we will be adding in. It's definitely planned.
So TU10 came soon after TU9. Does that mean TU11 is going to come 3 weeks after TU10, or is it on like a normal schedule that would pretend that TU10 released when it was supposed to?
Yeah, so looking at our update calendar, we basically, the crazy thing is if you actually look at our update calendar, we have our updates planned through I think at least for the next year. And so the next update, but we always we'll change it around based on certain things. So like for instance, title update 10
Squirrel.
was originally slated for um, the I believe next week. I think it was like next week maybe. So we pushed it up a week because we wanted to get some additional things in place before Conquer came out because we knew the surge that it'd lead to. So like two big things we definitely wanted to get in were there were actually some really good fixes for Conquer. So we don't have to do like a day one patch. We can actually like get stuff fixed before Conquer even comes out. And then the second thing is a controller map. Is like really useful for new people when you're in create mode. Being able to like click on when you're like going through the options or the like just menu of the different tools. It's like really useful when you have that controller map right there, so that you can at any point reference that and then know what you need to do to actually do stuff in Project Spark. So like those are two big things we wanted to get in. So that's why we pushed that up. Pushing that up though, we decided not to push it up title update 11. So we like typically have a 3 week schedule, so you'll get a bit more of a gap between the yesterday's update and then the next update than usual. But your wait will be warranted. It'll be a really nice update, especially because we have so much extra. We have more time than usual between the updates. It'll be a really nice update.
So a bit more of a broad question. I think we went over this a little bit with Jeff when he popped in for SparkCast a few weeks ago. Is Project Spark meeting your guys' expectations, like as far as like user base or how it's performing, etc., where it is right now?
I'd say so. Yeah.
That wasn't a softball, so you can go ahead and elaborate.
Yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, I'd say it's exceeded our expectations. Um, we when we built Project Spark, and this was the reason why I'm having a hard time answering this is because this is like a question for people who were there from the beginning, and I joined the team
November-ish.
after, yeah, after launch. But looking back and having talked to the team, when it was initially conceptualized, it was a lot of different things for people, and we didn't know how it would take up and what ways it would be shaped, and the types of games and experiences people have made that has far exceeded what our team's expectations were. Like I'll say, just to give you like anecdotal evidence, like when Phil Spencer saw X Zero, he couldn't believe that like someone could make as polished of an experience as that in Project Spark. Or when someone another huge person on the team that I will keep nameless, but another big person at Microsoft saw all the Conquer community games made just in today's trailer, and they were totally blown away by the fact that like community members made this stuff in just 2 weeks. They just had 2 weeks to make stuff. They made things that were like this polished and looked this good and looked this much like Conquer games. They were totally blown away by that. So it is the output has exceeded our expectations completely. And in terms of like the user base, um, we we've like never really had a goal in mind, but the amount of people who keep on coming back every day, I think that has exceeded teams' expectations of like the amount of people who are like putting so many hours into Project Spark and the amount of people who like get that creation bug. I think that is exceeding the expectations of our team as well. Of like, the fact that we have, looking at the list, the amount of creators we have who've spent more than 100 hours in Project Spark is like, staggering. It's unbelievable. And so I think from all points, I think it has exceeded like our expectations on like just what people are doing with it.
So what I've noticed is like people tend to need motivators in order to produce the top tier content, UGC, whether it be a game jam or even I'm not gonna pat myself on the back because the other entries of this Conquer Day One content are like really good as well. Um, they need like a timeline or some kind of deadline in order to actually get things out the door, as opposed to when in between it seems like it's a little bit more of a drizzle of high quality UGC, and then when there's a game jam or something like this, it just floodgates are opening for
Yeah,
really good levels.
yeah, we've definitely seen that. I think that's like we're definitely going to be supporting more and more game jams as we go on. I mean, game jams have led to just phenomenal things. Like we saw from the very first game jam that this led to something great. And then when now that that your community game jams is over, it's like the bar is like this much higher. So it's really exciting. Of like this is definitely a great motivating factor. And it's actually, I think I've said this before, but it's actually a great way to reward creators for like, really spending all their time creating stuff.
So, I guess the most direct question that they have is, does Team Dakota have enough financial support to keep going?
Mm. So finances I can't share, but what I'll say is like either way, if finances were really good, finances were really bad, finances were so-so, we've never got into Project Spark for the money. Like that's just, and that's not how Microsoft got into Project Spark either. Or else a lot of different business decisions would have been made if like Project Spark was in it to make to make lots of money. Then the way that it would have been approached would have been very different than how it has been approached.
I can't
Instead,
imagine that credits would exist if you were interested in as much money as
sure.
possible.
Yeah, or like the treasure trove or other stuff like that. Or like, they're probably, it would probably follow a much different model of like having a large base price just to get in, things like that. There's like a lot of things probably that would be done to it. So it's not actually even evaluated really too much on a financial standpoint. It's more of like how is this helping people? Like it's thought of more of as educational teaching. Like how is this actually helping people learn? How is this helping like people just do new things and unexpected things with Microsoft IP? And so from that perspective, that's why I say I think it's been a huge success, is because we don't really you know we we don't really look at finance as much as we look at like what the result is of community creation. So yeah, so that's like whatever happens. I don't think it's something where we'd be just like suddenly one day we like, all right guys, we didn't get as much money out of you as we thought we would, so we're stopping doing this thing. That's we might have changes like down the road. Who knows what happens in the future? But we are not in it for the money. We're in it for the innovation, rather. That's what I'll say.
That's cool. I think that's a really diplomatic way of phrasing it. And here's a tech question or something for features. Is there any plan of change of plan? I should just read the question directly because I don't have to rephrase it that way.
Sure.
Is there an increment in Snap-on grid size planned, or finer tuning adjustments like stick sensitivity for console users? I couldn't even read it straight.
Yeah, so we're really like that's something we honestly are really debating back and forth. We actually had in something we almost shipped for controller users. We were making it so that you could like you could do much finer like point by point increment on certain on scale and stuff like that. But then as a result of that, then you couldn't like scale fast at all. You'd scale insanely slowly, and so like it made the creation process really slow. And then we didn't really have, the button maps that we were trying were really weird and didn't make any sense to people, and like what was the default. So like that's something we're still tweaking around with. We were close with something, but then we like tested it and it just didn't work. So we know that like finer incrementing on things are something that creators would love, and so that's something we are working on. We're working on a lot of creator improvements, definitely.
So this is a cool question. I know the easy answer is Connect, but is there a way? Is there ever going to be a way to import audio? I know this is something you were championing when you were a community member.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have talked about it, and like we do want to do a lot more with audio. So like right now, the only way to import audio is through recording with Connect. Actually, I will say for voices, Connect is pretty good at that. You have to stand pretty close to it, but Connect is good at picking up voices. It's like when you go for music that it's a bit harder. But if you're like just recording voices, Connect is pretty good at picking up voices. So like people who want
I
to
am a
voice act,
magical space wizard.
right? Exactly. Yeah. So people who want to record voices for their Conquer games, I think what you'll see is when you play the Great and Mighty Pooh, that was all done with Connect recording. So the amount of like pretty good quality audio you can get out of the Connect recording is pretty nice. And so if like as we're working on other audio improvements, that is a way that Conquer fans can put in the voiceovers they want to for Conquer.
I was about to do my Conquer impression, but I don't want to embarrass myself. So,
We need BJ. BJ's really good at Conquer impressions.
oh, then you can um, rent him out to Conquer fans who want to have Conquer voiceover custom for their levels. Just send him a couple lines of script every week and have them record them for him.
We actually we Thomas and I were like debating it whether we should ask him or not to use lines for our game that we were making, our Conquer game, but then we actually couldn't come up with like good lines to use.
That's fair. Well,
Yeah, we were like, well, what actually fits with a multiplayer game? So we just scrapped it and we are like, whatever. We'll just work on making a really good multiplayer game.
I'll get him to narrate the Wirtz level the other bad day.
Yeah, he does actually. Word Andrew does use. So we have a lot of Conquer VO lines in this pack, like a lot of them. We have, I think it's over 100. And Word Andrew used a lot of those in his game. Like he used a lot of Conquer VO lines that we have to help Conquer say certain things, that was pretty cool.
And not to let you off without grilling you a little bit more, because I know it was your baby when you were part of the community. How far along is it to get music into Spark?
Yeah. I honestly don't have an answer for you. The thing that I proposed when I was in the community was basically
Make your own
we
track
yeah, people would
music.
make their own 4-track music, submit it to Team Dakota, and then Team Dakota would like put that as kind of like 3 packs in Project Spark. There's a lot, like so many layers of legality that kind of program would need to go through. So much vetting, where that's why it's taking so long, because it's like it's something that sounds like pretty simple in concept, and that's what I That's what I thought. But when you're working with like, an organization where when we do put out stuff, we're kind of giving the stamp of approval, like this is totally license free. Then you can't just use the software like, say the software YouTube uses. You have to like go deep and understand who owns license to what, and like understand the legalities of the fact that like, what if these people want to make profit off those songs, or like what if they want to do stuff with their songs before, like who owns the rights to the song at that point. So there's so many questions answered that need to be answered, that's why that's taken longer.
Lawyers, gotcha. And I think the final question for tonight, because I have to actually get to finishing the Conquer level I'm working on, um,
Yeah, me too.
is where is multiplayer for PC?
Um, it's we're still working on it. Still working on it. That's I can't really say much more, but it's yeah, it has been it's not like I will say it's not like as big of a priority as like other features that we're working on that we know will make creators really happy. But it has not been canceled. It's not been dropped off the block. It's not like our Xbox 360 has been indefinitely delayed. PC multiplayer has not been indefinitely delayed. It's something that still actually is being worked on. So that's all I can say about that.
All right, and with that, do you have any final words for this evening?
No, all I'll say is get ready for an explosion of all these new people coming in tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be like a big day. It's gonna feel like a launch again in Project Spark.
What are you guys gonna do for your stream tomorrow?
We're just going to be playing all the community creations that are uploaded for tomorrow, like all those Conquer games, because they're like fantastic. You guys should all see them.
All right. Well, with that, the time. So it's 3 p.m. tomorrow on Project_Spark Twitch channel.
Yes, exactly. And as a reminder, two last things to say again as reminders. Conquer releases at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time tomorrow. I have the list of all regions on the FAQs. There's like a few that were still they're still rating pending. Actually, one of those is Germany. So Germany is expected within I forget what the date is for Germany, but Germany will be a few days delayed after 23rd, and then I think like Australia is going to be later, but and then yeah, so there's a few regions we have listed on that you should also check to make sure like if you're in make sure that your region's covered basically. Pretty much all of Europe except for Germany has a much different, more stringent rating process, so that takes longer typically, which is why games can typically take longer to release in Germany. That's still actually well underway though. And then for all new users who've not gotten to Project Spark before, they'll have to go through that tour before they get Conquer.
Alrighty then. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. And next week we'll have another Sparkcast. I believe Spark Thomas will be joining us. Though that's not certain ever. It's usually one of the two. It's either Brian or Thomas, and maybe Zach at some point if he's still alive.
Yeah, Zach has been really deep into working on. He's actually working on a lot of stuff in Project Spark that I can't talk about, but he's working on a lot too. So he's very deep into that. He's a very busy guy.
That's interesting. All right. Well, with that said, next week we'll be talking about probably more than just Conquer, because it's been a long time of mostly just Conquer, and hopefully by next week we'll be talking about what the next content pack is. Right, Brian? Right, Brian?
Maybe. We'll see.
All right. So thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you next week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 Pacific. Night, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everyone.